Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to tie the Delaware Adams, and we're going to do this Dette's method. Dry fly hook, size 14, classic. This is Olive Crewel wool yarn, and it's Appleton's. Very easy brand to get, and just look for Crewel. Very inexpensive. These are Whiting Winger Capes, so it's a rooster cape, rounded tips for the wings. I'm going to use black and brown for the hackle, olive thread. And I'll explain while I'm using the olive thread here. This is a pattern that I learned about from the Catskill Fly Tyers Guild. They did it on a Zoom not too long ago, and got to watch President John Apgar tie the fly, and he was doing it this way, Dette style. And that was the first time I tied the fly, and actually really even heard of it. Was maybe, with their announcement a few weeks before that. So you tie, you select two feathers from a winger cape, and you can get those from Magpie Fly Tying Materials, Jim's Fly Co., other Whiting suppliers. It's rooster feathers with round tips. You want to pick ones, I would say widthwise, that are, around the hook gap, and then tie them in hook shank length, and do a bunch of X wraps and wraps in the front and back to split them and bring them up vertical. And now I'm going to tie in at the front here the hackle that is going to be make up the body hackle, and then the olive crewel. The size of the body hackle, so this is a 14 hook, so I went one size under, 16 on my hackle gauge. And I'm tying in the wool here. For me, it's a little fiddly to have things out over the eye when wrapping, once it get tangled up in my bobbin. So I'm doing this very slowly, and now just going with the other hand, kind of doing hand over hand, working towards the back of the fly. This was a fun tie. I'm not a Catskill expert, and I thought for a long time that the guild was only made up of experts. And then I learned that all you have to do is have an interest and want to learn about and keep the traditions alive. And so I joined, and since then I've been learning a lot. Now this is a grizzly spade hackle for the tail, so I'm going to tie the tail in here at the end. And so the guild does, they have a newsletter, they do some Zooms with tying, and that's fun. So I tied it on my side and then roll it up on top. And again, the length of the tail fibers is the hook shank length. I like my tails to be splayed wide for dry flies, uh, for structural purposes to hold it up on the water. So I do that wrap underneath in the back to, help push them apart so they don't stay bunched up together and they splay out. And now you wrap the the wool yarn back, catch it in. Uh, I asked because a lot of the old books on Catskill fly tying, and I talked about this in my Rube Cross video, don't mention silk color. I don't think it was that important to them. I chose to do the olive here because of the catching in things there at the end, and then you'll see I'm going to wind the thread through this spiral wrapped grizzly to help lock it in, and by having the same color as the yarn, it it helps not be noticed. Have the thread not be noticed, and so wiggle so you don't catch any of those fibers. Come back up to where you're going to tie the hackle in. And so the hackle here is going to be brown and grizzly. So this is a size 14 hook. So I size the hackle to be 14, between 14 and 12. I'm going to tie the grizzly on first. I'm going to tie the brown on second and wrap that one first. Um, John Apgar mentioned, and I agree with him, Grizzly really stands out in a grizzly and brown mix in terms of color. So I find if you want more of the brown, you have to wrap more and make it denser than the grizzly. So I'm going to start with brown. That's why I tied it in last, so I can judge more to make sure I get a lot of brown in there. Doing a bunch of wraps here. That's like three, so three there, four, five, five and a half ish. As a, people talk about the Catskill style, leaving space at the head for a turtle knot. Um, I don't can't comment too much on that, but pushing the wings and the hackle back, depending on the length of the hook, gives you a little bit of a better balance point for float. So now I'm going to wrap the grizzly, and I do less wraps here because again the grizzly really stands out. So two, only two in the back and one in the front, so three total grizzly. And look, you can see how the blend together, five versus three, five and a half versus three, the grizzly still kind of really stands out to the eye. So just keep that in mind, style as you will. I like to push everything back, and like Root Cross said, finger and thumb nail, push, push everything back, to tighten it up right there at the head before doing your final knot. And we'll do a whip finish here. And, call it a day on this Delaware Adams. People were talking about this as a great skittering fly when caddis are on the water and uh, really moving about. And, so I'm definitely going to try that in this upcoming season. And I suggest you check out this pattern. If you don't have the winger cape, you can see the V that you create. If you don't have the winger cape, um, you could just totally leave off the wings. Not sure. I think that's more for the fishermen than the fish. And there's the fly from two different views. And thank you so much. Take care. Bye.